Dmase, Vingan, and Donick, 102.5 The Game. Willie Donick, Derek Mason, Adam Vingan, and David Janes here with you. We hope you are having a wonderful Friday, this May 1st in Nashville, Tennessee. We are live at First Horizon Park, where the Nashville Sounds will take on the team of my youth, the Norfolk Tides.
Norfolk Tides.
That's what it sounds like when you're not from there.
Norfolk.
Yeah. Norfolk. The L is silent.
Just Norfolk.
Well, the way I've always pronounced it is Norfolk, as if it were spelled Norfick.
Okay.
Norfolk. The Norfolk Tides.
What made you say Norfolk?
That's just how I've said it.
Oh, okay. I can understand that.
It is what it is. Sounds Tides tonight here at First Horizon Park. First pitch is at 6:35. Catch all of the action here on 94.9 The Fan, presented by Family Leisure and Social Cantina. It is a beautiful day for baseball, so glad to be here. I will also say this. On Wednesday, I came on the show.
Mm-hmm.
I was perturbed. I think that's the right word. I was perturbed with all of the traffic, all of the illegal parking on my street, because Grimey's was hosting Noah Khan for a signing.
Yes.
Today, Grimey's is hosting Casey Musgraves for a signing.
Star.
When I left, no illegal parking on my street. Wow.
Yes. Woo! Yes, that's what happens
when you complain on
when
the
you
air.
Go out in the streets. All right. Call for action, and you went into action, my brother.
I was perturbed about all of the illegal parking, and at least when I was leaving to come here, no illegal parking that I could see. I also did one thing. Strategically.
Okay.
Today was garbage day.
Oh.
So I made sure to line my and my neighbor's garbage cans strategically along the curb.
I get it.
So no one could park right in front of my house. Right in front of my mailbox.
Smart.
Preventive.
Yes.
Yeah. You were proactive, not reactive.
Indeed, I was proactive. So good for you, people coming over to East Nashville to meet Casey Musgraves. And I don't blame you for wanting to do that, because Casey Musgraves.
Hey, it is what it is.
Need I say more? I don't want to get in trouble with my wife.
Yeah, please don't. Not again. You've gotten in trouble too many times on this show.
That hole's deep enough.
I want to say something to all those, wonderful people that drive Uber or Lyft. When you are at a stoplight, and that stoplight is red for at least 2.5 minutes, as it is right next to the ballpark. When that light is red for about 2.5 minutes, you have a decision to make, and that person in the car has a decision to make with too. Will I get out now while the car's sitting and the light's red, or am I going to wait, let him turn and go across the street, then get out? What you don't do is stay there for 2.5 minutes, and then when the light turned green, you hit your flashers. And you casually get out the car. And then not only do you move, you don't move, you stay there with your flashers on. Now everybody has to go around you. Don't do that. Common courtesy. If you know that this light is going to be a tad bit long and you're a little antsy, I get a little antsy in the car sometimes, Ubers, and I know I'm only walking a block down the street or a half a block. I say, let me out right here.
Right. I'll just pop out.
Yeah, bam, boom, get out. You got my money already.
Yeah.
So there's no taxi like, hey, credit cards like
I get change?
Oh, I don't have money in my account. What am I do now? I don't know. Run. No, I'm just playing. I wouldn't. Don't ever do that, people. But no, this is not a taxi. The money is already in the bank. Get your little narrow tail, as my mama would say, get your little narrow tail out of the car, and you proceed to drive to your next destination. Don't stand there with your hazard lights on. Am I wrong?
I think you're totally fair. Okay. We got to make moves.
Okay. We
got to make moves.
Adam was able to get people off his block, maybe because I'm saying this, I'm able to get some laws changed when it comes to Uber drivers or Lyft.
Is there anything that you would like to change, Willie? This is your opportunity to enact change. It's clearly worked for me.
Yes.
It might work for Derek. Could it work for you? Be more decisive.
I agree with both of your actions. I'm with you 100%.
We're trying to be influential.
Yes.
I know. I don't have it today, but I will.
Okay.
You know, rest assured,
Yeah.
I will use the platform
Okay.
accordingly when
You
time
live
comes.
on a much busier street than I
Oh,
do.
my God.
So you've seen
It's
some things.
unbelievable. Oh, yeah.
You've seen some things.
This
I've
is
seen
the
plenty of Uber. I've seen
influential
Ubers get their
station.
side mirrors clipped
Ooh.
on my street, pulling
Oh.
over on the side,
Yeah.
you know, with the hazards on. People go flying
Gotta
by.
go. Gotta go.
Yeah.
Make a decision. You don't even have to hit the hazards. Just make a decision. Boom, out. Boom. I'm on to my next destination. I'm all about efficiency.
Efficiency is important.
Yes.
I think when you're the rider, you
Boom.
owe it to your driver.
Absolutely.
Be decisive.
Yes. Very. Very.
Hop in, hop out.
Boom. You got my money already.
Yeah. I need to get out here. Okay, boom, I'm out. Boom.
Boom. Let's close the door.
Check the
Boom.
traffic, hustle over. You're out.
There we go.
Keep your feet moving.
Let's see if Derek has the same influence I will claim that I had on people parking illegally on my street the other day. The Tennessee Titans rookies have reported for minicamp, and if you were hoping to see the newest members of the team on the field, I'm sorry to inform you that they won't be. Robert Saleh said today that the rookies drafted last week will not participate in practice today and tomorrow. I believe practice for today is already over. So they did not participate in practice today. They will not participate in practice tomorrow. Here is how Robert Saleh explained his decision.
What's the plan for the draft pick?
The draft picks, to give background, when they're going through the draft process, especially the 30 visits, they've been doing a lot of traveling. So over the weekend with our draft picks, we're going to be doing more baseline checking with them. So they'll be with the weight room, the strength and conditioning coaches. They're meeting with all of us throughout the day, but as far as practice goes, they'll be with the strength and conditioning staff, creating a baseline to see where they're at.
Is this something that you've done before with your draft picks?
I've call it a scar. I was on the staff that saw Dante Fowler tear his ACL on the first rep of rookie minicamp, and so I've just taken the philosophy. These guys have had a lot. They've had a lot of stress over the last month. Their bodies aren't ready for football, and so we're just trying to see where they're at so we can properly get them acclimated once they get here with the veterans.
I think that is a reasonable explanation, guys.
Mm-hmm.
And most people thought so too. But I did see some people disagree with that idea. How will the veterans react to those rookies not being on the field for rookie minicamp? Let's go to our resident wide receiver, Derek Mason. What do you think of Robert Saleh's explanation for the newest members of the team not participating in on-field work at rookie minicamp?
I've always said that when you see a lot of these guys, and we've seen this for years, where either in camp or during the season, these guys come up with soft tissue injuries. It happens all the time with these rookies. And I've always said, listen, from the time their season ends in college, whether it be, a college football playoff, championship game, whatever, bowl games or regular season. From that point in time, every draft eligible guy is doing what?
Getting ready for the combine.
Exactly.
Getting the measurables ready, doing what they can to get drafted.
Exactly. We're not conditioning, really. We're not doing any conditioning. No. We are strictly running 40s, all these drills. We try to perfect these drills. We're in a classroom watching film, going over how you answer certain questions, so you never get an opportunity. Now, they may run some gashers in between all of this, but being in shape isn't their main focus. Their main focus is do well on the test, because ultimately that is going to either up your stock or lower your stock. You can go in there and try to be conditioned. That's great. But if you're not ready for those tests, as we have seen, it will be held against you. And then these kids coming right after that, these kids get drafted, and then all of a sudden we just want to throw them out on the field, run routes. No wonder they get injured. I've said this for years, and this is the smartest thing Robert Saleh could have ever done up until this point when it comes to players, just for their safety. This is the first step. This is how you are proactive, and I'm sure other teams probably are doing it as well. This is how you become proactive. When you bring these guys in here, and automatically I'm not going to tell them, oh, we got 10 periods today. Half of it's running routes and all this other stuff. No, let me see where you're at, because he's right. They've been on these 30 visits. They've been back and forth on airplanes. Their body's not ready to just hit the ground and run. I understand they're young, and for me, it was always stay in shape. But when you have these guys and they come in and their body isn't ready in condition for football, it's no different from them going from, you know, their freshman year or senior year to their freshman year of college. Coaches just don't throw them out there. They got to make sure they can pass the test. They got to make sure they can, and until they pass that test, that's when we're going to send you out there. Because the last thing we want to do is send you out there. You're not conditioned. What happens? You blow a hamstring.
Yep.
So anybody that is opposed to this, and I hate to say it, y'all know I hate to say this, you've never played the game. This is a smart thing it's not even a big thing, but it's a smart thing. And I guarantee you they looked at the analytics on this too. I guarantee you. And this is probably one reason why he was like, okay, veteran guys, they understand, listen, these rookies ain't ready. Ain't nobody winning a job or losing a job these first couple of days. What I need them is when we get into camp and in the season that they're healthy.
I feel like we need some sort of siren to play anytime Derek says, you haven't played.
Yeah, but I hate using it.
I know you do. And you don't use it very often.
It's like when you say that, it's like, this is not 1980. This is not 2000. Where it was just, we had so many days, we had a whole bunch of days, so you could gradually work them in. They want you to hit the ground running now, and right now you just can't do this with these kids now.
Well, let me ask you for your take on our friend Easton Freeze's take from A to Z Sports. He said, quote, I don't think Saleh's justification is illogical by any means. It makes sense. I also know that at least some of the veterans would tell you this approach is whack. Somebody once told me that rookie minicamp is supposed to make you wonder if you actually want to be in the NFL.
Again, that thinking is really you're missing the whole point. You're missing the big picture in this. When veteran guys, if there are veteran guys, if you understand the game and you know the game, and you understand the bigger picture, you know why Saleh's doing this, and no veteran will have anything against it. Their thing is, as long as that dude's ready. When you put him on the field, as long as he's ready. Because the minute you throw him on that field, he's going to get hurt. Those veteran guys are going to talk about him anyway. He shouldn't have been out here. He wasn't in condition. Okay, well, we're going to make sure that the baselines for him coming out here and running and doing what we want him to do is there. Why do you think they have all these things on their body throughout practice? To measure when to cut them back. Well, why? Okay, for anybody that says veteran guys, well, why are veteran guys complaining about when they shut them down a little bit? It's the same thing. Don't overexert yourself. You only got so many reps. That's why it's just like, man, I get it from that side. But until you actually been in it, you know how much what Robert Saleh is doing, even though it may seem like real small, it's big in the big scheme of things. Because the last thing I want is my fourth pick in the draft. And it may happen anyway. But at least you can't say, I just threw that kid out there. I tried to get a baseline where he was, especially my fourth pick overall, who I'm dependent on.
I would be curious to know if he looked at sports science or there are people in there that are backing him up with what he said about the one story about the one guy, Dante Fowler. Like if it's based on just one guy hurting, I don't know if that's really the smart way to make a decision. I would assume, though, that there's other things he considered. Besides that, how many teams do that? That's another question I thought of that I have no idea what the answer is. I am confused. I don't really know at this point why a veteran player would really care whether they're out there or not.
It doesn't matter to the veteran guy. Yeah. Again, as long this is not 1997 when I got into the NFL. It's just not. We're not practicing 3 hours twice a day. It's just not happening anymore. We are trying to preserve their bodies. What's wrong with preserving a guy's body that isn't ready for the league yet? I don't tell.
It doesn't have to be until September.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Neil on our text line says, rookie minicamp with no rookies, LOL. Well, there were other young players on the field, including Xavier Restrepo, which I'm not sure that's a good sign for Xavier Restrepo, that he was participating in rookie minicamp to start his second year in the NFL. Alex from Montreal says, not worried about the first three picks. I feel they will contribute, but the rookie guard and center going to have a rough rookie year, in my opinion. And we'll talk about the other rookies because we spent so much time focusing on Carnell Tate. We'll talk about some of the other rookies as well. 615-737-1025. Our phone and text lines are driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Robert Saleh holding all of the Titans draftees from last week off the field in rookie minicamp. It started today. It continues tomorrow. Carnell Tate, Keldrick Falk, and the others will not be on the field, at least participating in drills for the Titans. Your thoughts on that? 615-737-1025. Coming up next, Chad Withrow from Hot Mike with Hutton and Withrow will join us. We'll talk about his thoughts on the Titans' full draft class. We'll also ask him about the major news earlier this week. Chad Brinker resigning as Titans president of football operations. 615-737-1025. Once again, we are out at First Horizon Park, where the Sounds will take on the Norfolk Tides. First pitch is at 6:35. Catch all of the action on 94.9 The Fan, presented by Family Leisure and Social Cantina. Celebrate Cinco de Mayo early with 102.5 The Game at Social Cantina in Germantown tomorrow. I can see Social Cantina from here, just outside the left field wall here at First Horizon Park. There will be music from 3 to 6, drink specials, swag giveaways, raffles, and patio party vibes all day long. Grab your crew and celebrate Cinco de Mayo the right way at Social Cantina. Willie Donick, Derek Mason, Adam Vingan here with you. Let's go to our phone line. Driven by Wilson County, Hyundai.com, and welcoming our friend Chad Withrow from Hot Mic with Hutton and Withrow on OutKick. Hi, Chad. How are you?
Doing well, guys.
So, Chad, I saw on your show that you declared the Titans losers for the first round of the NFL draft. For those who did not hear your reasons behind that, why didn't you like the Titans' first round last week?
Well, it's tough because I think if they get Love and he's not drafted before them, it's a really different story for me, right? So, first off, that's not their fault, right? The guy they wanted went the pick before them, so then they were left with a decision to make. I think that getting Carnell Tate where they did. Now, look, if you say Carnell Tate was their top receiver, far and away better than everyone else, and they went out and got their top target for their quarterback of the future, I'm fine with that explanation. But I don't think Carnell Tate was the fourth pick overall or worthy of that. So my desire at that point would be to trade back and get more picks and get more starters for this football team. I think in not doing that, in reaching for Carnell Tate, which I do believe that it was a reach, and then trading back up instead of trading back to get Keldrick Falk, who may end up being a great player, I just thought of all the possible outcomes for the Titans draft. The number one for me being Jeremiah Love's there at 4 and you draft him. Wasn't their fault that he wasn't. But of all the possible outcomes of then trading back and getting an edge rusher or getting another player, I just thought the Titans whiffed compared to other teams. Now, I don't know if you saw the same segment, but I declared the Jets the winner. So what do I know? Because the Jets never win in the draft. So I'm sure that they're going to be looking back on that 3 years from now and saying, what the heck does this guy know? Yeah. And the fact that they're going to the Jets means they're probably going to suck because of the organization, but I do like what they did.
So, Chad, earlier this week, speaking of Chads, Chad Brinker stepped down as Titans president of football operations. So now the spotlight clearly on Mike Borgonzi as the head of the Titans front office. Knowing Amy Adams Strunk's, let's call it, volatility, how much time do you think Borgonzi has to prove his value to her and Titans ownership?
Well, they got to be better this year. Look, that's not asking much. They won 3 games back-to-back seasons. So what's better, 4 wins, 5 wins? Well, that's technically better. But they do have to show improvement this year. If they're the same team and they're at the bottom of the league again, I think that he's probably going to get fired. And we're going to continue to see that turnover. If the draft picks of a year ago and the draft picks mixed with free agency this year, let's say leads to 6 wins this season, then I think he's going to be fine. But the whole Chad Brinker resignation, whatever you want to call it, stepping down, forced out, however you want to phrase it, overall, guys, I think it's a very good thing for the organization simply because it gives a little bit more clarity of purpose for people in charge. There's been too many cooks in the kitchen for far too long for the Titans. And now we know Mike Borgonzi is in charge of personnel. We know Robert Saleh is the head coach. We know Brian Daboll is the head coach of the offense. We know more about who's making decisions and what the vision's going to be. This team has needed a singular vision for a long time, and instead it's been competing ideas between or Chad Brinker and Mike Borgonzi. Well, now we know Mike Borgonzi is the guy in charge. Certainly Amy Adams Strunk is the woman in charge of all of them, but I think that's a good thing that Chad Brinker's no longer there. Now, does her son-in-law, Bryce Wasserman, become more of a power broker organization? Does he just take the place of Chad Brinker? If so, I think we're left right back in that starting position of having too many cooks in the Titans kitchen and not knowing who's in charge. But for right now, knowing that it's Borgonzi's team as the general manager, I think that's a good spot for the Titans to be in.
And that was going to be my follow-up to you, Chad. Bryce Wasserman is seemingly inserted. We don't know if he has a bio yet, but we can check.
I'll check.
Last check.
He was spotted on the field next to Robert Saleh today at rookie minicamp practice.
But what do you think you eliminate one guy, it's what you subtract, but then you add again? what do you think his role will be? Based upon, what she has said about, Borgonzi being in all essence of the word GM.
So, Willie, you said no bio yet?
Still no bio. It's been like wait for years. Yeah.
I mean, I can go ahead and give you my guess. He's going to be the CEM, the Chief Executive Meddler of the organization. Like, that's the problem with this, right? Bryce Wasserman may be a brilliant guy. I have no idea. I don't know Bryce. I haven't met him. He may be great at whatever he does with the Titans, but it just feels like you're adding a more complicated executive structure to one that doesn't need to be that complicated. Now, if his role is to assist Mike Borgonzi and be helpful to him and everybody's pointed in the same direction, then I don't think it's going to be a bad thing. But, I mean, let's face it, guys. What does it feel like? It feels like he's there to report back to his mother-in-law.
Yes.
On everything going on with the team.
That's why I stress that there's no bio.
Yeah.
Because from afar, it looks just like that. You get skeptical. You're like, why is this guy? What does he bring to the table? Show me in a bio that he has credentials to help a football team, and not just he's the son-in-law. He's going to be, just because the owner says it's okay, he's going to be tagging along. It doesn't exude, doesn't bring out confidence to the fan base. It has people going, scratching my head here. What does he do? What are the qualifications?
It's perplexing. It's perplexing. And again, it just feels like what he is a tattletale. That's what he's in there to do, right? Like, okay, let's put a family member in. I trust Bryce. He's going to report back to me. He's going to tell me who's doing a good job. He's going to tell me who doesn't like the way things are done. That's what it feels like to me. He may prove me wrong, but I think you're adding complication to an uncomplicated process, or what should be one. And you look at that family too. Like, I always respected Kenneth Adams because he worked in almost every department. He was given a taste of working at the lower rungs of the organization, feeling different things out. I mean, yes, of course, he was, the heir apparent of a team and came from a lot of wealth, but it never felt that way with him. This feels like a silver spoon situation where Bryce Wasserman has married into the family and has now been given a primo spot at the table, and is going to be reporting back to his mother-in-law. I hope I'm wrong, but that's what it looks like to me.
Now, Chad, Adam mentioned to you about, the rookies early on, and Carnell Tate and some of these other guys, and the GM. How long does a GM have? If you look at it, this year's based upon last year, if you have a guy like Chim DK, who comes in, because I look at, Borgonzi's job, he started off on the right foot because his draft picks are doing well from last year. And this year will, I hope, be the same thing. So the question I want to ask you is, which one of these guys can be the Chim DK of this draft? Take out Carnell Tate and Keldrick Falk, because those two guys we expect to be contributors and key contributors, but everybody underneath that, which one of these guys can turn out to be DK?
I think it's Nick Singleton. I love that pick. I mean, I think he was an absolute stud when healthy with Penn State. I'll say this, too, for the draft. I love what they did on day 2 and 3 of the draft. I really I love going and getting the center from Indiana. I remember his interview after they beat Alabama, and I know he was the MVP of one of those games. Like, that is the type of dude you want in your locker room, coming from that system and that program under Curt Cignetti. I love that pickup for the interior of the offensive line. I love Singleton. So if I'm looking for the next DK, I'm thinking it's Singleton in this draft class. But I do think, I mean, everything they did on the second and third day made total sense in terms of players they targeted, what their mental makeup was, all of those things. They were very productive, most of them. I really like what was done by Borgonzi after that. I didn't like the first round. I liked everything else on Friday and Saturday. So, but if you're asking me for who's that surprise pick, I'm going to go with Singleton at running back.
Chad Withrow is with us. Hot Mic with Hutton and Withrow. Chad, I'm trying to come around as best I can to the field of 64 now to 68, now going to 76. Do you think we'll get used to it and we'll be all right with it, or do you think they're really screwing this up?
Willie, I, like you, am more of a purist when it comes to the NCAA tournament, and I don't like it. I'll say this, though.
I don't know if I
think
found
we're gonna
anybody that
care
really
as much.
likes it at this point. Is that
No,
true?
And this is what sports tends to do right now. They never listen to the will of the fan. They don't even listen to the will of the people in the sport, because I don't remember a single coach that was begging for 76 teams in the tournament. I mean, coaches were even saying it's perfect the way it is. Don't mess with it. Players liked it the way it was. I think fans, for the most part, liked the way it was. But I will say this. When we get to that Tuesday and Wednesday, and there's 12 games, there's 6 on each day, and then the Thursday, Friday are the same in the tournament, I mean, I'm going to be watching. I mean, they got me already. I'm going to be watching those Tuesday and Wednesday games. I'm going to be watching, the lower level SEC or Big 10 or Big 12 teams duking it out against each other to get a spot in that Thursday or Friday game in the NCAA tournament. So from that perspective, they're not wrong. We are still going to tune into those games. And I do think that as long as you don't mess with the opening tips on Thursday and Friday, to me, this is the single best sporting event in America, the NCAA men's tournament. And that Thursday and Friday of the tournament are 2 of the best sports days of the year. As long as those aren't affected, and we're just talking about teams playing into those 2 days, I really don't have a huge problem with it. I don't like it, and I think it's an easy thing to be upset about right now. But I do think when we get to March, Willie, everybody's going to turn on, Paramount Plus or whoever's carrying those games, and we're going to watch them all together because we love hoops.
I'm curious. We've always had a standard, right? The standard is how often have you made the tournament? Like you mentioned the coaches. I find this interesting. I wonder how coaches feel privately, because if you say Coach Withrow has taken his team to the NCAA tournament 5 straight years, Coach Withrow is going to continue to have his job for a while. He's built up some stuff. But if I say now, Coach Withrow has made the tournament 5 straight years, but 3 of the years they were in the 68 through 76, and they lost in the first game, and they didn't make it to Thursday or Friday. Is it going to be look different, or do you think we'll still look at 76 as the standard?
Well, it's a big question, because I thought about this announcement. I thought, boy, who does this affect the most? And the first person that came to mind was Steve Pearl. Boy, wouldn't Stephen Pearl have loved 76 teams this year to get in the tournament? I know they went on and won the NIT or whatever, but those coaches that get cut, Porter Moser at Oklahoma, if they're now a tournament team, how does that change the outlook of the job they've done at a specific place? Or is it a double-edged sword? So now we look at it and say, well, if you're in the Tuesday and Wednesday, it's not really the tournament, so those teams don't really count anyway. I don't know how it's going to shake out. We've seen a ton of advancements in the NBA or Major League Baseball with games and different situations where we look at statistics differently. But I do think that it's not changing in terms of the barometer of most programs. The goal is to make the NCAA tournament. And if you're not making the NCAA tournament, your season is seen as a failure until you get back to the tournament. Now, every program probably has a different percentage of how many times they expect to make the tournament. But I don't know how that's going to shift now with those extra at-large teams, just knowing that of the deserving teams to get in, it's not going to be Belmont who won the Missouri Valley Conference regular season. It's going to be teams, 11, 12, 13
right,
in the Big 10 or the SEC that are going to get in.
And so, Chad,
does that matter for those coaches? I don't know, Willie.
Yeah. Do you think they should divide those bids? I wonder about that too. Like, I think you could maybe have some people feeling pretty good if you say no more than 4 teams from a Power 4. I don't know. But I would love to see a balance where at least you could say the Belmonts of the world would have a better chance of getting in. If it's only going to be an Oklahoma or an Alabama, like you said, the 12th, 13th, 14th team, that's a bummer. That's really not going to look good.
Yeah, I want to believe that a Belmont could get in this scenario, or that team. Pick any team that's dominant throughout their regular season, and they get put out in the semifinal of the championship game of their conference tournament. I'd like to think that team is the one that's going to get in, but it's not. It's going to be the bigger brand. It's going to be the teams from the bigger conference that lost 14 games in the regular season, and they're going to get a chance to play their way into Thursday and Friday. But again, I can understand it from a television perspective of getting more people to watch games and increasing that inventory and increasing the price tag of what they're going to charge networks to pay for the rights to those games. I know what the NCAA is doing. I don't like it. I don't think many college basketball fans like it. But again, they know that we're going to watch, and that's a good spot for them to be in. But no, I don't think Belmont's going to be helped. I think Oklahoma is going to be helped in the long run. That's who's going to end up getting in the tournament. But also, I think Oklahoma fans ultimately, to go back to your earlier question, I don't think they're going to be happy with being one of the, team 73 in the tournament for 2 straight years. Then they're going to want more, and that coach is still going to be in trouble, even though they made the tournament.
Chad Withrow from Hot Mike with Hutton and Withrow on OutKick has been our guest on Dmase. Vingan and Donaghy joins us every Friday. Chad, as always, a pleasure. We'll catch up next week.
Guys, always fun. Have a great weekend.
You as well. 615-737-1025. We'll continue the Titans conversation coming up next. Plus, some new developments on a major story in college football. We'll discuss that as well coming up next. 615-737-1025. We are broadcasting from the Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning Game Nashville Studios, home of the $99 yearly Beehive membership, where the buzz is always about great service. Dmase, Van Gendonic, 102.5 The Game.
Who's the music man today? Dmase?
That's right.
Yes, I'm liking it. I knew when you had the Daz band in there.
Oh
I
yeah.
was like, somebody's been robbing my playlist.
Does this sound like something I would listen to?
No.
I'm on the same wavelength as D-Mace right here.
You know,
The
my
Miami
music.
Sound Machine.
You know, my music is a bit more angsty than
Yeah.
that. But I do like it. I do like it. Some new reporting about Brendan Sorsby. This has been a big story in college football from Matt Hayes of USA Today. Quote, the Cincinnati Athletic Department was alerted in August that star quarterback Brendan Sorsby was gambling prior to the start of the 2025 season. Two people with direct knowledge of the situation told USA Today Sports. The Big 12, which includes Cincinnati, uses Prohibet, a compliance-driven app every student-athlete in the conference must download on their phone. The app notifies universities when athletes attempt to sign up for betting platforms or place prohibited wagers. By knowing Sorsby was gambling and playing him anyway, Cincinnati could face NCAA scrutiny. Sorsby is under NCAA investigation after reportedly making thousands of online bets during his career, according to ESPN.
So they knew prior to the season
Allegedly.
he had the app on his phone. Could they not track him like during the season, like to know?
The other way,
Or did they look the other way, or did he use another telephone that you don't have to put it on?
Questions.
Yeah, these are the questions you're gonna want to know.
And I think if I'm the NCAA, I'd be trying to find out the answer.
The NCAA ain't gonna find out nothing.
You don't trust our man?
No, Tommy. Yes, Tommy barely answered the phone now.
He's got the Venetian blinds in his office. He's got the phone.
Exactly.
He's ready.
He barely answered the phone as we
he
speak.
needs a job. Tommy, I need you to go find out what happened at Cincinnati.
But that's amazing that in this day and age,
you wonder if they were even checking. Like, hey, this is our quarterback. I don't want to know if anything bad happens to come my way. All right, we'll deal with it then. But I'm just going to assume that none of my guys are doing that. I wonder if they took that approach.
Did whoever tipped them that he was gambling, did they give them like proof that he was gambling? Because in this day and age, you got to know, like, if you know that, you got to do something right there, because it's not going to stay dormant. It is not. It's going to come out, and you're going to end up on the other side wishing you had said something at the beginning. You know, that's why I don't understand this. It's like y'all y'all say these kids have the app on their phone. Were y'all really monitoring it?
It's allegedly thousands of bets.
Yes. What was he betting on?
Hey, it was dumb. I grabbed my buddy talked me into it. I
just made a $10 bet.
Thousands of bets. That it's hard to know. Like
that NIL
you're
money.
Telling me, it seems hard to believe that your quarterback, who probably has very close friends on the team, on the football team, would not be aware of him making bets. Like his teammates had to know. It's hard. That's hard to. It's not something you secretly do. Usually, you're on your phone. You're watching games. You don't. Nobody
saw you. Nobody knew.
That's.
Well, he probably didn't have a roommate because he's making NIL money. So but
he's not hanging with the fellas at all. Like there's
camaraderie. Yeah, you're right.
I gotta believe at some point somebody saw something like, wait a minute, what's he doing?
This is why. This is just a complete disqualifier for me when it comes to having him on my team, having him a part of my team. Betting becomes a sort of one of those things that's a non-negotiable, especially if you've been allegedly caught doing it, all these thousands. But even with that, like a person of your, like, quarterbacks are held to a higher standard, just like coaches are held to a higher standard. That's why I made the comment I made about Mike Vrabel.
Right.
Quarterbacks are held to a higher standard than everybody on the field. Is it right? I don't know. Maybe, maybe not. That's not for me to decide. But when you have your quarterback making choices like that, not once, not twice, not three times, allegedly thousands of times, I can't have him on my team. I just can't. It's not a one-time thing or a two-time thing. Like, okay, I understand it's an addiction. I get that part.
Well, that's what I was going to say.
I get that part.
At least get the man some help.
Yeah, get him for
He
help, but I
obviously
can't have him a
needs
part
it.
of my team.
He obviously needs help.
Yeah.
Let me ask the both of you this question. There was a lot of talk this week about if Sorsby's final year of eligibility is rescinded by the NCAA, that he could opt for the NFL's supplemental draft, which doesn't happen very often. But he could get a jump start on what everybody has called a loaded 2027 NFL draft quarterback class. If you were an NFL team in need of a quarterback prospect this year, knowing what we seem to know about Brendan Sorsby, would you take a shot on him?
Well, my first question would be: what's the procedure for him to be eligible if this is ongoing? Right, trying to uncover exactly what did he do, what did he not do. He's checked in to get help now,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
So
yeah.
don't you have to get that
Cleared?
settled
Yeah.
before you could be eligible to be drafted? But it's a good question. I don't know what scouts think of this guy, but I would certainly have some major red flags.
But I don't think him gambling in college constitute a disqualifier in the NFL. Like, okay, you gambling, it's not transferable to the NFL.
Is he a gambling addict? Right?
But that's what I would be thinking as an owner or a GM. Like, okay, this kid needs to go to rehab treatment, and what he's been going through, he may need to stay a little bit longer. Then once you get out, then you got to prove
thousands of bets.
Exactly.
It's not something you can just go for 30 days and you're
absolutely
fine.
And that's why it would be. It really is a disqualifier, because again, if your talent and the guy's good, but when you're talking about betting, if your talent doesn't totally outweigh your circumstance or your problem, then giving you a shot. And this dude hadn't even gotten in the NFL yet, and he's already been accused of betting. Not once, twice, three times, thousands.
Now, would we say that there have been many, many athletes who have got a gambling thing? Michael Jordan, probably the most famous, right? He loved to gamble. He wasn't dumb enough to
gamble on games.
We don't think.
Yes.
As far as we know. But we know that there are a lot that have that impulse, right? They have trouble doing it. So you could probably justify it if you're some team. Maybe it's a team like the Raiders that, like the rebel kind of guy. Like, hey, who cares? If he can play, we'll take him.
I'm out there.
I don't – some teams might have different standards than others for a one-shot deal like that, because the supplemental draft is, like you said, Adam, it's a rare thing.
It hasn't happened since 2019.
So you bid, right? We would put a 7th round pick.
Yeah.
So let's just say it. Nobody wants him. We'll give you our 7th round pick and take him. I wonder how that would work. How many teams would throw their hat in the ring?
He was considered a first-round prospect next year before this news broke. And I just wonder, look, we talk about, to use Derek's word, disqualifiers. Reuben Bain and the short arms and this and that. I do wonder if this leads to a question about Sorsby's character and whether he would be worth drafting in the first round next year. But to your point, Willie, maybe teams see him as toxic in that regard, and some team says, hey, we've got a 7th round pick. We can throw at him. This caliber of prospect for a 7th round pick, sold.
I think I would love for him to go to the UFL or Canada or something, because the thing you don't want to do with him is he go to rehab, and I know they make some money in the UFL and in Canada, but throwing a whole bunch of money at him without many guardrails, even though I'm sure, going to rehab, he's putting things in place. But I don't think throwing him on the biggest stage, meaning the NFL, would be good for him right out the bat. Maybe, hey, man, player in the league for a while. Can you handle being around the stress of the game? Can you handle, that at a lower level? And if we see that, okay, all right, then you take a chance on him. But just coming out and throwing him in the NFL, that may not work.
One texter says, I make 50 bets a weekend across the 3 national series. 36 weeks a year. That's 1,500 plus bets annually. Over 5 years, I'm up $30,000 tracked religiously. Do I have a problem or a side hustle? Thousands of bets is a dumb reason to attack him. The only thing he did wrong was bet on his own team. That's the hard line disqualification for his career. And it's not even the worst offense. Just like Pete Rose, he bet on himself to win. Throwing games is the only capital sin.
Okay.
I'm not down with that.
Me either. Listen, I don't know you, person, and you may say you don't have a problem. There may be some of your friends that think you may have a problem. So I don't know, but the disqualifier is this. You can do it. You don't work for a sport team, at least I don't think you do, and you don't play for a sport team. Correct me if I'm wrong. He does. He plays for a sport team, which we all can bet on.
Right.
And when that comes into question, then the integrity of the game becomes a question. So, listen, if he was just some average dude betting, okay, fine, bet all you want to. You may have a problem, you may not. That's on you. But when your bets affect potentially people that you work with, then that's where the problem lies.
615-737-1025. Coming up next, one of Derek's peers said something that Derek has said for a long time about the receiver position at one specific school that is near and dear to many of your hearts. We will discuss that coming up next. 615-737-1025. Willie Donick, Derek Mason, Adam Vingan, 1025 The Game. Dmase, Vingan, and Donick, 102.5 The Game. Willie Donick, Derek Mason, Adam Vingan, and David James here with you. We are live at First Horizon Park. Sounds versus Tides tonight. First pitch, 6:35. Coverage on 94.9 The Fan. It's always a pleasure to be out here at First Horizon Park. At 5 o'clock, we're dusting off Ask Dmase. So if you've got questions for Derek about sports, about life, you name it.
Let's do it.
5 o'clock. You can call or text 615-737-1025. But speaking of Derek Mason, there's one thing that Derek Mason has been consistent about for a long time. There are multiple things, but there is one specific thing, and that's that Derek Mason doesn't believe that wide receivers from the University of Tennessee are prepared to become NFL wide receivers. And not that Derek Mason needed validation from one of his peers, one of his contemporaries, Steve Smith. But following the NFL draft and the Carolina Panthers drafting Chris Brazzell in the third round, number 83 overall, Steve Smith said this about Tennessee wide receivers in the NFL.
I've been waiting to talk about this. Mm-hmm. I don't trust the Tennessee receiver, not because the players, but the style of play that they have. Tennessee,
they're coached a specific way.
In 2026, the coaches at Tennessee, the receivers at Tennessee, when I look at them, I think of the old Baylor Bears wide receiver, and some of Ole Miss receivers outside of obviously AJ and DK Metcalf. But outside of those two guys, I put those Tennessee in those same two categories where I go, I can't trust them because I don't really believe they were taught the game of football at the highest level. They are taught when it's your chance, run. Let's spread them out 2 inches from the dang sideline. Let's spread the defense completely away. Let's zigzag and throw a whole bunch of motion and eye candy. And then all of a sudden, somebody's going to spring open, right? Mm-hmm. That's like Jalen Hyatt. Mm-hmm. I watched it. Remember, I had those questions a couple years ago. And it sucks for him because I do think he's a young, talented, fast wide receiver. I also believe he was shortchanged by the lack of great coaching to give him a true understanding of how to play football play football at the highest level.
Anything to add, Derek Mason?
I mean, he's spot on. I've said this for years that, and listen, it's not guys make the league. And listen, Saban's a great coach. Great, maybe the greatest of all time, depending on who you're asking. I think he's the greatest college coach ever, maybe the greatest coach, period, ever. His job was to win football games for who? Alabama, LSU, Michigan State, when he was in college. His job was to prepare you to win games on Saturday. If your talent was that extreme and you bought into what we did, then more than likely that would end up getting you a shot in the NFL via draft or free agency. I am here to make sure that I make you the best human and the best college football player ever because, listen, you don't get fired in college because you send a bunch of guys to the pros. You don't. You get fired, why? Because you ain't winning. Basically, that's what happens. So you can send a bunch of guys to the NFL. If you ain't winning, they're going to fire you. Ask Coach Cal in basketball. He had all those first rounders, all those lottery picks. Ultimately, hey, Coach Cal, you ain't winning, so you got to be gone, man. We love you. Bunch of guys in the first round, lottery picks, but that ain't doing nothing for the university. His job is to prepare you for the university and win games. That is what the job is of the receiver coach at UT, the head coach at UT. The offensive coordinator, get you prepared to win on Saturday. If your talent is good enough, then you'll make it to the league. But that's not my thing. You want to do all that other stuff, you do it. Fine, on your own time. But I'm here to make sure you learn the playbook for this league, how to run routes in this league for this particular offense. And if you make it to the NFL, it's a win-win for everybody. But that is only a win-win for everybody if I'm winning too. So he's spot on. And if anybody ever tells you that different, show me, because outside, I think the last receiver that got drafted, well, Jennings, he's doing well in the NFL.
But that was pre-Heupel.
Any receiver that he's had, all these guys, it's just like,
here are the
you're
receivers.
just a fast guy.
Here are the receivers drafted out of Tennessee under Josh Heupel: Velus Jones, Cedric Tillman, Jalen Hyatt, Dante Thornton, and now Chris Brazzell. Those are the wide receivers drafted out of Tennessee under Josh Heupel.
And all of them except Jawan Jennings. I think Tillman, he may have had a little success, if I'm not mistaken.
But Jennings, again, was pre-Heupel.
Exactly. Jennings was pre-Heupel. These guys get in the NFL, and Smitty is right. You put them 2 yards away from the sideline. What is that telling them? They don't have to read defenses. They don't have to do anything. Hell, that's why I said don't take a chance on quarterbacks that come out of UT, because they're not taught how to read defenses the way they need to.
I wonder, do you think that is used against Tennessee on the recruiting trail? For, hey, don't go there. Look at the receivers, these talented receivers. They don't learn how to play in the NFL, so you don't need to go there. You need to come here because we're going to teach you the pro style. I mean, it's got to be, right?
Yeah, it has to be, because if you just look at, the times that some of these guys ran, you figure, okay, it should translate. You should get in the NFL, and you should, be dominant. But the thing that they didn't tell them, the space you had in college, you don't have in the NFL. You just don't have that space. Yeah. So if there's a reason why Alabama receivers, Ohio State, let's just take those two. There's a reason why.
Well, let's focus on Ohio State now that Carnell Tate is here.
There's a reason why, because I think those guys, like, I'm just going, let's say Hartline, for instance, because I don't know who Alabama's receiver coach is. Hartline, he makes it about his business to get those guys, right, not necessarily NFL bred, but to get those guys to be the best receiver they can possibly be.
And Brian Hartline was the longtime wide receivers coach at Ohio.
Exactly. Really good coach. That's why I parlayed him into getting a head coaching.
I believe that USF.
Yeah, head coaching, because he did so well with those receivers there. But what he teaches them is how to be a complete receiver. I don't think they teach them how to be a complete receiver at UT. I just don't. At Ohio State, it's been proven. They teach you how to be a complete receiver. Inside, outside, short routes, deep routes. They give you the whole route tree. And only thing I've ever seen Brazzell run or Hyatt was really going post routes, or like throw me a quick hitch. That's not a route tree. That's just running to a space.
I guess, should you be worried if you're a Tennessee fan that is going to eventually catch up to Heupel in terms of who he can get to play wide receiver, or do you think they'll just find enough guys that will be effective in that system? Because I think he believes in the system. It's almost like remember Georgia Tech for years ran an option offense, and you're like, well, how does he ever get a wide receiver? Well, he doesn't, but he runs the heck out of the ball.
Well, heck, you had to be Calvin Johnson in order to get drafted like that, because he went to Georgia Tech. So
he did,
and they didn't throw the ball much.
Well, and he was after Paul Johnson.
Yes.
Paul Johnson, I think, was the guy's name that ran the option for a long, long time. And he won a lot of games. But this was always getting talked about, like Georgia being such a talent-rich state. Like, are you going to run an option? And for a while, I thought maybe Vanderbilt should go the route of Army and Navy. That could be the change-up, how you could win more games when they were really struggling. And they did try it with Jerry DiNardo, years ago when more teams were doing it that way.
Yeah.
But it seems like there's come a point where teams are reluctant to run that, even though for a while it was the spread, right? And people were like, that doesn't translate to the NFL. So I'm just curious about how this works when a coach is saying, am I going to lose players running the system that I run?
And that's why, and maybe that is the case, because if you look at Tennessee, it's all about the vertical game. Everything needs to be downfield. The switch routes, all that. Nobody really runs like routes that you see. Like you can just, at Ohio State, you watch them. They actually run routes. It's not about we're just going to run to a space and stop because we spread them out so wide.
Right. It's all about the space.
Exactly.
Yeah. That's why it's called the spread, right?
Exactly. So that's why I'm so high on Carnell Tate, because I've watched this guy and he is a route runner. He is a complete receiver. Is he the greatest receiver? No. Was he the number one receiver on his team? No. But there would have been, I guarantee you, 100% of the teams in college football right now, if they had Jeremiah Smith, he would be the number one receiver. Tell me one team he wouldn't be the number one receiver on, and I'll tell you a lot. Go to any team across college football. He would be the number one receiver. So Mekhi Lemon, you would have been dropped to 2.
Jordan Tyson,
you would have been dropped to 2. So we can't use that against Carnell Tate. But what I can use for him, watch him on tape and tell me that ain't a NFL receiver running routes.
Caleb on our
and
text
catching
line,
the ball,
who I believe is a Vols fan, says, respectfully, I agree partially. Usually you say respectfully, I disagree. He said, respectfully, I agree partially.
He said partially. That's
I agree partially.
Yes.
This last season, they ran a different scheme than previous years under Heupel. So to me, it seems like people didn't watch much film on them this season specifically. We just got the number 1 or number 2 wide receiver in the country, so it must not be working against Tennessee.
What happens is, what are these kids looking for? What are all receivers looking for, really?
Targets.
Target, that's all.
Throw me the ball.
UT will give them targets.
Yeah.
They're not going to teach them how to be an NFL receiver. It's hard to do it because the offense that they're running, they're still going to spread you out. They still want to create a mismatch. They're still going to tell you run to a spot. Watch it. It's just they run to a spot. There's really no break. It's just run to a spot, sit there, or run in the hole, sit there. And it's like that's not a receiver. I can get my son to do that when he was playing football. He probably wouldn't have caught it all the time, but I could have had him just run to a spot. In order to stay in this game for a long time, you gotta learn your craft and you gotta learn how to run routes. You just do.
Let me ask you this question, Derek. Of all of the wide receivers I named who have been drafted under Josh Heupel, I'll list them again. Chris Brazzell, Velus Jones, Cedric Tillman, Jalen Hyatt, Dante Thornton. Do you think Brazzell has the best chance of that group to break the cycle for the Vols?
I don't know. Hopefully he does. The caller said, or the texter said, they changed the offense a little bit. So hopefully it was enough because I'm not the only person that's seeing this. Other scouts are seeing this. Even quarterbacks from UT.
I mean, Steve Smith knows a thing or two about being a wide receiver.
Yeah, so it's just like
you.
We're not telling y'all something that we're not seeing. It's like, but it's not just UT. But UT is a big brand. They're winning a lot. Their offenses are always top 10 at least in college football as far as point wise. And then you take these same guys that were 11, 12, 1,300-yard guys, 9, 10 touchdowns, you throw them in the NFL, and it's like, now I got to teach you how to run routes.
One texter says Jeremiah Smith wouldn't be number 1 at Miami because of Malachi Toney.
Oh, my goodness. He would have been number 1 in Miami. They tried to get him. Didn't y'all read that? They tried to get him to go to Miami after he was already on Ohio State.
Smith?
He said, yes.
Tate?
He said, Smith. Okay. He said, no, I'm staying at Ohio State. So, again, he would have been, name me another team. Every team starting from A to Z, he would have been the number 1 receiver.
Let me pull up the list of Division I schools in alphabetical order.
He would have been.
We're going to use the rest of the show. Yes.
From A to Z,
Arkansas,
he would have been the number 1 receiver.
The rest of the show.
Because damn it, he would be the number 1 receiver on 15 teams in the NFL. And he's going to be the number 1 receiver for one team who drafts him next year.
I am curious to see how Brazzell performs in the NFL. As you mentioned, Derek, he's a dangerous vertical threat.
And I want to see him do well.
Going to Carolina,
yeah,
next to Ted McMillan, playing with Bryce Young at quarterback. I think it's an interesting fit.
Well, he's a big body. He has a large catch radius. What is he? 6'1", 6'2", somewhere around there. Brazzell. So, and he is a vertical threat. Now, he's going to have to learn how to run routes because right now, Ted McMillan is their vertical threat and he's learning how to run routes in this league. So you got to bring something to the table other than your speed.
6'4", roughly 200
Yeah,
pounds.
so he has a huge, and this is what they're trying to do for Bryce Young, because Bryce Young is 6 foot or just below 6 foot. So they're trying to get him taller receivers where he has a bigger or larger catch radius.
I wonder how, like, I will speak from personal experience. Like, I take a lot of pride when Duke players do well in the NBA. I mean, the Rookie of the Year award this season was between Cooper Flagg and Con Knipple. Like, I think it's cool when players from the team I root for in college become highly successful professional players. I do wonder if Vols fans feel the same way. I mean, I'm sure they do.
But it's secondary to how did the team do during the season.
Exactly.
Right? I think
Yes.
that's I think every fan would answer that. I think another dynamic would be in the NFL, it's hard to teach a guy who comes in raw all of the nuances, because it's like, oh man, it's going to take some time.
You got to work
And
them.
some guys can do it in baseball, or probably I would imagine hockey, but I'm more familiar with baseball in the minor leagues. You would take 5 Brazzles in a second, put them all in the minors, and say, we'll teach him. He's got the tools. He has no idea what he's doing route running wise for what the pros are, but we'll teach him that. And he can fail at the minor league level. You can't do that in the NFL. You're either going to help the team, or we got to do something here. Or you get a certain amount of time and that's it. And you got to do it on the practice squad. You got to be behind the scenes. You don't get game reps where other than the shrinking amount of preseason reps that you get, there's just not that same ability to take a guy. These guys on the Sounds, right? They've been developing for some of them 4, 5, 6 years, still trying to perfect the craft to get to the big leagues. It's so different in football.
And that's the part that sort of hinders a lot of this too, is that, before you had the time to kind of sit down with a guy that's raw or a guy that wasn't taught the proper way how to run routes. So you had time to sit down with them in the off season because the team was together. So we had time. We had months and months before we even got to training camp, 2-a-days. But here's another reason, and it is not when people say, "Well, anybody can run routes." It's not about just running routes. It's about, because this is why it's so hard for college guys too to make that transition. It's not just running a route. It's running a route while there's moving parts. No longer is, because if I'm at UT. And I put these guys 2 yards right, before the numbers. What am I doing? I'm declaring. You got to declare a defense. You have to. It makes the job, because everybody, you can't just sit in there, try to disguise it. All of a sudden we hike the ball. Now you're out of space. So what happens is UT has perfected it like a lot of other teams. If I spread you out, you got to declare your defense, at least in the back end. You got to declare, because if you don't, you leave yourself exposed. So you ain't got that many athletes. Now, you take that, a guy who really didn't have to read the defenses on the run. I just run to a spot with my eyes closed, turn around. Now you take that. Now you insert a moving defense. Now you insert, I ain't a yard away from the sideline anymore. I'm in here by the numbers. Now everything shrinks. Now I can disguise a lot better. Now I'm thinking, oh, my goodness, how do I run the route on this coverage?
Right.
Before I could just run to a spot. That's what I'm talking about. These guys are not ready. They're not. I hope Brazzell gets ready. It doesn't seem like Hyatt's ready, because it seems like the Giants are off, sort of out with him. But it's going to take these guys a lot, because once you throw in moving parts, you shrink the field, it makes it very difficult for them.
615-737-1025. Our phone and text lines are driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Coming up next, how do NFL executives feel about the Titans draft class? Mike Sando of The Athletic got some of their thoughts. We will discuss them coming up next. 615-737-1025. Willie Donick, Derek Mason, Adam Vingan, 1025 The Game.
literally anything. Like if you're in the bullpen or if you're on the bench, we used to talk about movies.
Dmase, Vingan and Donick, 102.5 the game. Derek Mason on the ones and twos today. We are live at First Horizon Park. Sounds and Tides
Public
tonight.
Enemy.
6:35 p.m. First pitch here at First Horizon Park. So Mike Sando of The Athletic, he's got a lot of contacts in the NFL. And today he released his story with anonymous executives grading every team's NFL draft in the AFC. He did the NFC yesterday. I don't really care about the NFC in this regard because the Titans, of course, play in the AFC. So executives unfiltered on AFC draft classes. And here is what Mike Sando wrote. Quote, execs saw the selection of receiver Carnell Tate as a safe pick for a second-year GM whose profile has grown with team president Chad Brinker's resignation. From one exec, quote, here is a guy in Tate that is never going to screw up. He is a guy you are going to want on a second contract. They have had horrible receivers there for a decade plus. He doesn't have any injury history like Jordan Tyson, and those were the only receivers worthy of a top 10 pick. Later, Sando writes, the shared interest in Tate between the Chiefs and the Titans tracked after the Titans, led by Borgonzi, a former longtime Chiefs executive, described Tate as a receiver who could threaten all three levels of a defense. That sounded straight from Chiefs coach Andy Reid. Solid player, not explosive fast, says one exec, but he's strong and tough. I'd like him to have more instincts and a little more burst. But I want to come back to this idea about the safe pick. So one exec said, here's a guy that is never going to screw up. He is a guy you are going to want in a second contract. They have had horrible receivers there for a decade plus. He doesn't have any injury history like Jordan Tyson, and those were the only receivers worthy of a top 10 pick. But this idea, Willie, of a young GM, here's the quote I was looking for. Maybe they felt Tyson was too much risk. Sometimes the newer GM does not want to get criticized. What do you make of the idea of Tate being a safe pick for a young GM?
The first thing that came to mind is something that Barry Trotz proudly said upon becoming the GM of the Predators. And it was the opposite of that, was let's take the big swings. He felt like the history of the Predators, I guess without saying his name, was obviously David Poile. And I never heard David Poile say these words, but the observation was that the Predators were very good at finding NHL players, but they were making a lot of quote-unquote safe picks, character guys that maybe didn't have the high ceiling. And that's, I guess that's a little bit what we're seeing here, right, with the evaluation of Tate, where maybe there was a higher ceiling with
Jordan Tyson.
Tyson. But there's a lot of issues there with the injuries and things. There's less red flags with Tate. It's a philosophy that if you're hot, you're like, yeah, man, let's take the swings. Let's take the big swing. If you strike out a lot with big swings, you're like, well, we got to shorten our swing, man. We got to take the safe pick.
Yeah. I never understood how. One, I think hopefully he was just talking about first round receivers, because if AJ Brown hear what he said, then AJ is gonna be mad. Okay, AJ's gonna be pissed off because JJ, he could have been the best receiver they had ever drafted and had played for him.
There are exceptions to every rule.
Exactly. So AJ would take offense to that if he heard it. If you were just talking about receivers, period. I'm trying to figure out, when is it wrong to take a guy that you know will produce for you? When is it wrong to take?
Well,
because
my answer back would be, do you ever know? Even if you're taking the quote safe pick, you still don't know if he's
you're absolutely right. Even with that, if you look at all the first rounders, they're safe picks. You drafted Mendoza, why? Because he's a safe pick. He's a pick that you know will more likely be what you think he is than what you don't. then what? Then
At least
not.
that's what you hope.
Exactly.
But I don't know if you could ever know.
Exactly. So everything is a safe pick. The second pick was a safe pick. The third pick in Jeremiah was a safe pick. There's nothing wrong with making the safe pick. I want a guy, because it's all about bringing in a guy in here, a guy you feel that will develop, even if he's your first pick in the overall draft, a guy that come to here, develop, and you can sign him to a second contract. A guy that can be a cornerstone of what you're doing with your organization moving forward.
Here's another thing, too, that I've been thinking about recently. And as I've mentioned many times, I'm not as much of a ball knower as Teron Davenport or Paul Kaharski or Easton Freeze, people who watch the Titans every single day and grind that tape. Dane Brugler and Matt Miller and Mel Kiper and Field Yates. And I know that all of those people talk to league executives, league scouts, as they're putting together their big boards. But I think as fans, we are so laser focused on those big boards that we start to believe that they're gospel. Like Carnell Tate, is he really the best receiver in this draft, or is it Jordan Tyson? What's happening inside the building could be completely different. So the consensus outside the building in our world is Carnell Tate, maybe not the best wide receiver in his own class. He wasn't even the best receiver on his own team. But if the Titans had such conviction that Carnell Tate was their guy, I just think that sometimes we are so influenced by the big boards of the draft analysts that I think we sometimes lose the bigger picture. Does that make sense?
Yeah,
it does. But we could have said that about Arvell Reese, Sonny Styles, because some people thought Caleb Downs was the best player on that defense, and not Reese or Sonny Styles. Or some people thought Reese was the best player, and not Sonny Styles or Caleb Downs. So, I mean, whatever pick you make, especially that high, the notion of it being a safe pick, to me, I think that's your nice way of saying they shouldn't have drafted him, really. He didn't deserve to be drafted that high. But because there was nobody else out there, we decided to take him, when in fact that's not the case. He was one of the people that they could draft at the fourth spot.
But you know what will happen if, let's just say, Arvell Reese turns into the freakish Micah Parson game wrecker that Trevor was telling us they need. If he turns into that, and Carnell Tate turns into a nice player, Corey Davis, something like that, a good player but not a great player, there's going to be a lot of, you didn't take the guy that had the highest upside, right?
Yeah, I get that, but that's not comparing. I would tell them you're not comparing apples to apples, because what they're asking Reese or Sonny Styles to do, they're not asking Carnell Tate. And what they're asking Carnell Tate to do, they're not asking those other guys to do. So it all depends on, now I can see if it's more apples to apples if we both played wide receiver.
Right.
Well, I decided to take Jordan Tyson, and I took Carnell late, but they took Jordan. Now we can compare those two and say, well, if Jordan Tyson goes to wherever, is it Tyson?
Jordan Tyson.
Yeah, Tyson.
New Orleans.
If he goes to New Orleans and balls out, and Carnell Tate is just okay, then okay. That's the conversation we could have.
That used to happen with everybody that passed on Randy Moss.
What happened to KD all the time? Kevin Dyson they always compared him to Randy Moss.
Right.
Yes.
But I still think, though, that in this case, Titans fans are going to remember that they could have had Reese. They could have had Styles.
Yeah.
And that is the difference between taking the safe guy. Hey, we're getting our quarterback a receiver, which that's what I worry about a little bit. Hey, we let's get him a receiver. Well, you need to get him a receiver over the next few years, but you need great players. And if Carnell Tate turns out to be just a decent player, and Arvell Reese turns out to be the star, the freak, the guy that's like, oh my gosh, how are we going to stop Arvell Reese? That's the worst case scenario. And I'm not saying that's going to happen.
Yeah.
But I think that's where that question goes sometimes, because you heard this about Reese. He's got the great upside, but he doesn't really have a position. Where are you going to play him? It's going to take a while. You got to have a plan, all of that.
Well, the league is telling us, at least maybe quietly, not loud enough for us to hear just yet, is that when you draft a young quarterback, you got to get him as number one guy. You just have to. I mean, Carolina did it. Washington already had their number one guy in McLaurin. You saw what Cincinnati did when they drafted Burrow. They drafted Chase. You can go down the line with Seattle, with what they did. They went out because they knew they had to get a receiver, number one receiver, because those other guys were going to be gone. So they went out and they paired their young number one guy with their quarterback now. And look at how this has worked out for each and every one of those teams. They tried it in Jacksonville, and hopefully it continues to work out with Brian Thomas.
But were people saying about Jamar Chase, just to
Yes.
play the other side of the coin, were they saying, quote, solid player,
No,
not
they weren't.
explosive fast, but he's strong and tough? I'm reading what they're saying about Tate. When I read that, I'm a little bit of, oh, that's the guy you wanted with the fourth pick? Solid player? Ideally, you want something more than a solid player, right?
Yeah, but I think he's going to be more than a solid player. The way
I hope you're right. They certainly think that, or else they would have picked him.
The way they're going to try to use him. And again, I think a lot of it has to be done very carefully, like pushing very carefully. Unless he just figures it out and he hit the ground running. But they envision him being their number one guy. And I think he has everything that you want your number one receiver to have. He's 6'2", 6'3", runs a 4.5. That is fast in this league. He's going to get stronger after a year. He may not be as strong this year, but next year he will be much stronger. His body will fill out. What did I say about Alec Almanor last year? I said Alec has to come in bigger, stronger. He's going to be fast, but he has to come in bigger and stronger. Why? Because now he's gotten a taste of what it takes to play in this league. It's going to be the same thing with Carnell Tate. They say, well, he's not physical enough right now, or he doesn't run through contact. Give him a year. He'll figure it out, and then next year he will be much stronger and faster, and he will look like a totally different receiver than he did his first year.
Let's quickly go to Ben on our phone line. Ben, thank you for calling. Go ahead.
Hey, I just want to make the point that in the draft, you never know. In sports, you never know something for sure. It's all about probability. I would say that Tyson has a bigger upside, but he's got a 30% chance, whatever you want to say, that he may not, he'll derail himself through injury or whatever. Whereas they decided on Carnell, he might not have had as high an upside. His upside might be 85 instead of 95, but he's only got a 10% chance of not making it. And I think in this case, the Titans can't take the risk of hitting a dud. And so in that sense, it's safe, but it just makes sense probability-wise.
Thank you for the call, Ben.
Yeah, I mean, that's a good thought, good theory in regards to, because my thing with Jordan Tyson was he comes in with an injury. He comes in with a hamstring. Nope, I don't want to have anything to do with it. Nope, If I got a receiver that is comparable to him or a little bit better, I'm taking that receiver. I'm not taking him. Even though his upside may be a little bit better, tad bit, but I never heard a wide receiver say, man, my hamstrings used to hurt. Your hamstring always hurt.
I mean, listen to these statistics from ESPN on Cam Ward targeting wide receivers last season. Yards per attempt, 6.4, last in the NFL. Completion percentage, 54%, 31st in the NFL. Drops, 13th, tied for 30th in the NFL.
Yeah. And some of that, I do think some of that is on the quarterback, but some of that is not having a great array of weapons. Hopefully, those numbers will go up.
Yeah, you hope.
We know you better have some good hands when you're catching balls from Cam Ward.
Yes,
he's
as
bringing
we've discussed.
He was in the 95th percentile as far as hand size.
Yeah,
Carnell Tate.
Your Carnell
He's got
Tate.
some
So
big mitts.
his hands are huge.
Yeah.
That's why he don't drop footballs.
That should help him catch the
Yes.
heaters.
615-737-1025. We'll take your thoughts on Carnell Tate. But coming up next, let's talk about some of the playoff action yesterday in the NHL and NBA. Coming up next, 615-737-1025. Willie Donick, Derek Mason, Adam Vingan, 1025 The Game.
team didn't have that you had last night?
They played very fast, and we weren't very fast. Yeah, it was just the opposite. They had a good start. We didn't, chasing the game.
What was it about your game that you found it in spurts, but you just couldn't maintain it? I guess. What did you see out there in this?
I mean, that's been the whole year. We've been searching for consistency all year. Obviously, we didn't find it here in the playoffs.
Why? I mean, it seems like it goes back to game one. It's been all year searching. Any way to put your finger on how come it was so hard to find the overall game this season?
That was tough. We were an average team all year. An average team with high expectations, you're going to be disappointed.
That was Connor McDavid last night after the Edmonton Oilers were eliminated by the Anaheim Ducks 5-2 in Game 6 of their first-round series. The Oilers, who represented the Western Conference in each of the previous 2 Stanley Cup Finals, out in the first round. And I can only imagine, Willie, what the conversations are like in Edmonton today after hearing what Connor McDavid just said.
I'm a little torn with this because the Oilers got torched once that game was over, and then this morning, the fallout. Now, remember this, before you really turn to the GM, who is the guy, he's the target right now, because that is the narrative right now. The narrative is, hey, you did a bad job putting the players around Jordan and Pippen, right? McDavid and Draisaitl. But let's not overlook that it was obvious that Connor McDavid was not close to 100% in that series.
Yes.
That makes a huge difference.
Just a little bit.
And Leon Draisaitl got injured by Ozzie Weisblatt with a legal hit. It wasn't dirty or anything, but Leon Draisaitl got hurt in that game against the Predators. It didn't play for the last month and just showed up. That's not easy to do. And he wasn't himself. That wasn't Leon Draisaitl. That wasn't McDavid and Draisaitl. That was going to make it hard. Now, I think a lot of people thought, well, you still can beat the Ducks, a team that's still building. They're very talented, but they're still a flawed team. They won 2 games in their last 10, right? The Ducks did. So I can see a little bit of a mix, but it's a little bit harsh because it just wasn't in the cards. But it is true, and I said this last summer, that the window for the Oilers is closing. I don't know that it's just the decisions they made last offseason. It's just your options start getting less and less wide. There's not as much variety of things you can do when you have depleted your farm system and you have cap issues. And you have no goalie. That has been the problem for all the time. And now they didn't just not have a goalie, they had other things on top of it, plus injuries. It was just too much to overcome.
So the Anaheim Ducks advance to the second round, where they will take on either the Utah Mammoth or Vegas Golden Knights in round 2. In the Central Division, the Minnesota Wild eliminated the Dallas Stars, also 5-2 last night. The Wild's first playoff series win since 2015. The Wild will take on the Avalanche in round 2, which will be a fabulous series. But you know what? I'll say it because I know a lot of you were very hard on him. Good for John Hines. I honestly believe that John Hines got a bad, was dealt a bad hand during his time with the Predators. I don't think he had great rosters. COVID. I thought he deserved at least the beginning of the next season. Barry Trotz ultimately decided to fire John Hines and bring in Andrew Burnett. But as someone who worked alongside John Hines, covered John Hines, I was happy to see him personally win a playoff series. I believe it's the first time he's won a playoff series in his NHL coaching career. Quinn Hughes was outstanding last night. The Wild move on.
I agree with you. I have always felt like John Hines is a good coach. I think it's just so often a coach gets a rep. I'm not sure. I still am puzzled why John Hines got the rep as early as he did. as a, well, he's not good. Fire John Hines. He's not that good. He's not good. What did he do to do that? I know he caught the team. He became the coach of the team when their window was having to change, evolve,
Yes.
and close, right? And that's never easy to jump into. They had to retool some things. And I thought during that retooling, more often than not, he overachieved with what he had to work with. And, of course, he got some great mileage out of UC Saros. And part of that is how you choose to play. But I do think I always felt bad for him because he wasn't a jerk to the media. He's as accessible as you could get. I think he was accountable. He took his own accountability. And I never understood what the fans never really took to him here. They just were always like, what's our coach? John Hines, he can't coach. But now you give them some weapons like they've got. Minnesota's a well-constructed team right now. That series, and this goes back to why is the playoff format like this? That was a heavyweight matchup in the first round. They beat a really good Dallas Stars team. We know how good the Stars are. Now they have to turn around and play the Avalanche. But you know what? The Wild are going to give the Avalanche a great series. I can tell you that right now.
I think the Stars are in a weird place because, as you mentioned, Willie, they are a fabulous team despite the fact that they lost in the first round. The Stars were the third best team in the NHL this season. I believe before this year, they had been to 3 consecutive Western Conference finals, and yet they haven't been able to get over the hump. Similarly to the Oilers, they don't have many draft picks waiting for them. I'm not sure where their prospect pool is. They did an outstanding job drafting. That's how they got to where they are right now. But I do wonder where the Stars go from here, just because there isn't much they can do. Their core is locked in. There are questions about Jason Robertson and what's next for him. But the worst place you want to be is like where the San Jose Sharks were once upon a time with Joe Thornton and Joe Pavelski and Logan Couture, Brent Burns, Erik Karlsson. Good teams every single year couldn't get over the hump. At some point, if you can't, things have to change.
That's the hard part, especially with the way the format is. The number 2 versus number 3 matchup in the Pacific was Edmonton and Anaheim. There's no comparison between this year's Edmonton team and this year's Anaheim team as opposed to Dallas and Minnesota. 2 completely different levels, in my opinion, right? So it's a messed up way to do the draw. Like, if you're just looking at it in a vacuum and saying Dallas lost in the first round, what's wrong with Dallas? It's who did you lose to? I still think that they're a very good team and will be a very good team next year.
I also do want to mention one game in the NBA. I turned on the TV yesterday, and I saw the New York Knicks were defeating the Atlanta Hawks 72-22 late in the first half, and I thought to myself, clearly someone in the production truck screwed that up. That's got to be 72-52, 72-62. Nope, it wasn't a typo. It was 72-22. The Knicks obliterated the Hawks last night, 140-89. The Knicks could have gone scoreless for the final roughly 23 minutes of the game and still won.
I'm amazed that the Hawks got to 89.
Yeah. It was
when they had 22 when they did.
Yeah, you can see this potentially happening in the regular season after about,
50
games,
random January game.
Low management, guys. Should be right there. They should eliminate you. Like they should eliminate you from the playoffs.
Disqualified.
They should have
You could be
eliminated
up
them at
3-2. You could be up 3-2. Nope, we're ending this. You're done. You decided it. No, you don't lose by almost. They were losing by 60. They almost end up losing by. I think they lost by what? 49.
140-89. Let me do my very
so
quick
59.
math.
51.
50 something. They still almost got beat
51.
by 50. They almost still got beat. Like, what do you say to your? If I'm not covering the game. I'm not talking about it. Why?
You just sit there in silence.
Yeah. It's like, why?
When you're the coach coming in after the game, what do you tell him, guys?
Have a great summer.
Guys, you know what? We just didn't have
Nothing
it.
to say.
We're practicing tomorrow at 8:00. See y'all tomorrow.
Yeah.
615-737-1025. The Stanley Cup playoffs continue. 3 games tonight. Tampa Bay at Montreal.
Battle.
Canadians looking to eliminate the Lightning. Buffalo at Boston. Buffalo looking to eliminate Boston. Vegas at Utah. That series has been murder for early bedtimes. But if you are an insomniac, I highly recommend you stay up and watch Vegas versus Utah tonight.
I said this yesterday, and it's absolutely worth waiting up and watching that game if you can. Utah has had the lead in the third period in all 5 of those games, and they're down 3-2 in games. It's taken everything Vegas has had, all the tricks, all the wily vets to hold them off. I think it's a fascinating series because there's a little bit of, hey, we're seeing the changing of the guard. Like if Montreal wins and beats Tampa, that's another first-round loss for Tampa. If Buffalo beats Boston, there's another team, Boston, that's been in it most years. They'd be out. And now Utah is trying to come up, right? Utah is trying to be that team that is going through the process that Adam has been preaching, right?
We'll talk about changings of the guard.
Changings of the
in
guard.
the 5 o'clock hour.
Right. You like what they're seeing there. You're rooting for Utah. That's what you need to do. It's taken a long time for these teams to do it, but that would be a big breakthrough.
I mean, by the way, the game 5 of that series, which Vegas won on a shorthanded goal and double overtime, ended at around 1:20 a.m. Central the other day. So if you have nothing to do tonight and you can't sleep, I highly recommend watching Vegas and Utah tonight. 615-737-1025. It is 5 o'clock on a Friday. So let's dust off Ask Dmase. If you've got questions for Derek, call us, text us. 615-737-1025. It can be about sports. It can be about life. You name it. Questions for Derek. 615-737-1025. Willie Donick, Derek Mason, Adam Vingan, 1025 The Game.
He played 15 years in the NFL.
Quick throw. Touchdown, Derek Mason.
He had over 12,000 receiving yards.
Midfield, and there he goes. 80 yards for the touchdown.
And now you can ask him anything. Have a question about football or life? Now's your time to ask Dmase.
We'll welcome you in.
Now,
Dmase.
On 102.5 and 106.3, The Game and the Game Nashville app.
It is time for Ask Dmase on Dmase, Vingan, and Donick. Willie Donick, Derek Mason, Adam Vingan here with you. We are live at First Horizon Park. Sounds versus Tides, 6:35 p.m. first pitch on 94.9 The Fan with our friend Jeff Hem. But it is time for Ask Dmase. Call us, text us, 615-737-1025 if you've got something to ask Derek. Let's start with Mike on our phone line. Mike, thank you for calling. Please go ahead.
Hey, guys. Thanks for taking my call. Dmase, so Carnell Tate, they announced that he's going to be wearing number 14 for the Titans this year. Back in your day, all the wide receivers were wearing numbers in the 80s. What do you think changed about receivers wanting to wear numbers in the teens now?
Thank you for the call, Mike.
Thank you for the call, Mike. I think a lot of it has to do with college now, or even high school. Because in high school, you're not getting a 80s number. You typically, if you're the best player or one of the best players, you're getting a single-digit number, or in the teens. And it seems what is happening now, because they've opened up the number vote, meaning at one point wide receivers can only wear numbers in the 80s. Very seldom did you see wide receivers outside of that number. I think, Cliff Branch, what number did he
21.
wear? He wore 21. I think he may have been only maybe few guys that wore that number at the wide receiver
Yeah, it used to be
position.
kind of a rare thing. You would notice it if a guy wasn't wearing
Exactly.
it.
So, but I think, over the last, I would say 10 years, probably a little less than that, guys are sort of, they get comfortable with the number. The number becomes their identity in a sense in high school, especially if you are an all-world player or USA player or a Gatorade player, whatever. They typically want to take that number from the high school to college, and then now they can do it in the pros because now you're able to wear single digits as a wide receiver. So I think it's more so of that than anything, because Carnell Tate went through it. He said he wanted to wear 17, but DK has it. And now he's choosing to wear 14. And he said, 14, I think he said that because of his mom's birthday.
Yep. And his first round
pick. So I thought that was sentimental. See, it's like, man, you make the number. You make the number. If you get a number, make it. And he's starting to make 14 his number. So it's sort of in a long way, that's what has happened. I don't think the league has sort of, you have to wear it, but they've opened it up to wide receivers.
It looks like it looks like from the 2020 season and earlier, wide receivers could only wear 10 through 19 and 80 through 89. Since the 2023 season, wide receivers can wear 0 through 49 and 80 through 89.
Yeah, so see, they've opened it up for everybody. They've opened it up for the wide receivers at least, and defensive guys, linebackers, they can wear single digits or whatever. So, now it's not just the 80s number is not, or the single digits is not just for like quarterbacks.
The only players before 2023 who could wear single digits were quarterbacks, punters, and place kickers.
Yeah. So now they've opened it up.
Let's go to James in Ashland City on our phone line. James, thank you for calling. Go ahead.
Well, thanks for taking my phone call. I'm the guy who called 2 days ago and had phone issues and just couldn't get my question in. Now, this is not the reason I called, but I do want to let you guys know that on the previous caller, that was a great question, by the way, and I've wondered the same thing. But I do want to let you know that Kenny Burroughs from the Houston Oilers in the late 70s wore double zero.
Did he? You're right. Yeah, absolutely right.
Dmase, you might have forgot about that. But I was a little kid back then, but I remember Kenny Burroughs and double zero. But anyway,
he did.
What I wanted to ask you, Dmase, is this, and I'm going to go ahead and admit I'm probably a UT homer here. You probably already know where I'm going with this.
Yes.
I want to just go briefly talk about the backups. Let's start with Mitchell Trubisky. How many starts did he have at North Carolina? He had less than 10 starts. He should have never been drafted in the first round. He's terrible. He's terrible. He's absolutely garbage, man. And I'm just saying, I know they brought him in. They signed him for a lot of money for somebody who hasn't done nothing in the league already. Now, let's go to my guy, Hendon Hooker. In my personal opinion, as a lifelong UT fan, this man has been the best quarterback for UT playing at UT since Peyton Manning, and some of his numbers are better than Peyton Manning's. Now, I don't think the guy's got to play. He came in hurt at Detroit, backing up Jared Goff. I personally don't think he's never got a proper shot and a chance to play that position and show what he's got. Now, I'm like I said, I realized I'm being a homer. And who's the third quarterback that they brought in?
It's Will Levis, Hendon
Hooker, Mitch Trubisky, and Cam Ward.
Tell me, no, Will Levis probably has a stronger arm than Hendon Hooker. But my question now, before I get off here, is: do you think Hendon Hooker will get a fair opportunity to be Cam's backup? And I'm going to hang up and listen to your answer. Thank you for taking my
James.
call.
Appreciate it.
James. Well, right now, no, I don't think this season he would be, and I don't think they're looking for him.
You just dashed James' dreams immediately.
The backup for Cam Ward. Now, after the season, if he's still on the team, I'm not going to sit here and say he couldn't be, Cam Ward's backup. And then, by the way, T. Martin would have had something to say about that. T did win a national championship, and he played quarterback pretty well for the university. But he's no Peyton Manning. I get that. But you got to throw T. Martin in there just for the simple fact he won a national championship. So you got to throw him in there with the mix with Hendon Hooker. But I don't know. I think Hendon Hooker falls into the category of what I believe Vol wide receivers fall into. We're only getting you ready to play for this level. This wide open offense where you really don't have to read defenses, or at least you only have to read one side of the field. And that was the knock on him when he came out, that they didn't feel because he was in that system that he read the complete, and all quarterbacks go through that. But when you're in a system like that, it's really hard. It makes it difficult for you when you come to the next level and you got to read defenses. You got to really know it, because when he was in college, and again, it's not his fault, but when he was in college, when he got to the line of scrimmage, one, he looked to the sideline. Two, the defense already declared itself. Now, you may have had some defenses that could disguise it a little bit, Alabama, Georgia, teams like that. But for the most part, even those teams, when that up-tempo offense and that spread offense, it's hard to not declare your defense right away. So that was a bonus for him. And then when you come in the NFL and it's not like that, then that's the learning curve. That's the difficult part.
Let's go to Tim on our phone line. Tim, thank you for calling. Go ahead.
Hey, guys, enjoy the show. Dmase. Carnell Tate, I think he was a little bit of a reach. Remember the last wide receiver we took in the first round? He was going to replace A.J. Brown, the next big thing. Where is he at?
I think he's with the Commanders. I think so. Yeah. He caught a touchdown last year.
Had a great catch. Was it a Sunday night game?
Yes.
He's probably on the injured reserve with him.
Yeah, you could be right, too.
Or he can't breathe. One or the other. It could be both.
Yes, the asthma.
But, bad. And when you're going to show up for camp, you need to be in shape, you would think. But maybe not. Carnell Tate, I think, is a reach.
Thank you, Tim. Wait, you have a question?
You got some more? Did we cut him off?
I think we cut him. Oh, no, he's there. Tim, you there?
Go ahead, Tim.
No, I'm here. I said it.
I thought you were just making a statement on Ask Dmase. I'm sorry.
Yes, go ahead.
Go ahead.
No. He's a reach. I think we could have got more for our money at that pick than what we got.
Thank you, Tim.
Thank you, Jim. Appreciate it. Now, see, that's the thing we don't know.
I thought he was making a declarative statement. They just wanted to call and said it was a reach. Okay, thanks, Tim.
But there are some people that believe it was a reach. When I saw it, I was like, wow. Not because they took him, because once Jeremiah Love went out the board, I thought that maybe they would try to move down and still be able to get Carnell Tate, but try to get something for him. But maybe no one offered to move up or offer enough to move up to get their guy, because once Love was taken, I think the board was falling away some people wanted it to. So they felt they didn't have to move up to try to get their guy, which in that case, I believe it was down to 2 guys. It could have been a third guy, but
It sounds like it was between Tate and
Love.
Reese.
I believe it was between Love and Tate
at number 4.
At number 4, and I think they took Love, so the Titans took the next offensive guy that they wanted.
I think once Love was off the board, it was between Tate and Reese.
Okay,
those were the 2 choices at number 4.
Yeah, so I don't think. Listen, I don't think it was a reach necessarily. I think he's a number 1. I think he's going to be a number 1. I think he has all the tools that you look for in a number 1 receiver. He doesn't have to run a 4.3, a 4.2. His 4.5 at 6'2", 6'3" will be fast enough. Once he gets stronger, he can run through a lot of those arm tackles. So I'm betting that he becomes their number 1 wide receiver very quickly.
Let's go to Trey on our phone line. Trey, thank you for calling. Go ahead.
Hey guys, how y'all doing?
Hey,
Good.
Trey.
Hey, I just wanted to say that I kind of gave Cam Ward the business last year because he really didn't know the playbook that well, but he can't complain this year about the playbook. This is a whole different scenario. From the time he's been in college up until now, he had 5 different playbooks or so. He shouldn't be complaining. He should be able to run those simple plays effectively. Not go back there and not know what to do, not read defenses. The simple things he needs to do effectively. And then he can work on the major stuff. I want to see Cam Ward develop at least 60% better than last year. I don't know if I get that, but I want to see a 60% progression in Cam Ward because this lies on Cam Ward. Cam Ward only. There's no excuses. And I love y'all. Have a good evening.
I do want to be clear about one thing.
He was very stern, and then he was very friendly.
Exactly.
Well, I do want to be clear about one thing. There was 0 questions to Derek in that
Yes. he made a bunch of
It's called Ask Dmase, Trey, but we appreciate the call.
No, but even with that, Trey, listen. One thing I do like about Trey, he's not going to mince his words, but then he's been saying this the whole time.
Yes,
he's been on this the whole time, so it's not like he's all of a sudden changed or anything. But Trey, I think you can say from when you first saw Cam Ward his first game and you criticized, or you critiqued them then, which was great, which is cool, no problem. You critiqued them then, but then once you saw him in the second half of the season, you gotta be honest with yourself. He looked much better. He looked more comfortable with what he was doing out there on the field. And I just expect that I expect him to go out there and be that and even better. Now, he's not a finished product, but I think he's going to continue to show that growth that you want to see.
Dustin in Hopkinsville says, "Where's the question, Trey?" I agree.
Hey,
there was
none.
Well, sometimes when you Trey, you just call.
This is what I appreciate about Trey, and I do appreciate all of you who regularly call and text into the program. We appreciate all of you, but the one thing I appreciate about Trey, he'll come on, he'll be hard and go,
yes.
Love you guys. Thank you. It brightens the day.
That's a good parent technique right there.
Yeah. End on a positive.
You're stern on your kids, but then at the end you say, "But I love you. Don't you forget that."
A compliment sandwich.
That's what you call it?
Yes. Yeah. Derek, you're a great radio host.
Compliment.
You bring in way too many snacks that I eat, but you're an awesome guy.
Right.
That's the progression.
That's the progression.
Yes, that's the compliment sandwich.
Start with set the table.
Yeah.
Go in with your constructive criticism. End on a compliment.
And by the way, my criticism of you is more of a criticism of me for having no self-control.
By way.
615-737-1025. We've got some more questions for Derek. If you want to participate and ask Dmase, you can by calling or texting. 615-737-1025. We'll do it. We'll do more next. Willie Donick, Derek Mason, Adam Vingan, 1025. The Game. Dmase, Vingan, and Donick, 102.5 The Game. Willie Donick, Derek Mason, Adam Vingan here. You're on a Michael Jackson kick today.
They don't really care about us. This is the 80s, man. I'm giving you 80s music. Some Michael Jackson. Everybody else in between.
I have told the story on the air before of several years ago. I attended the Michael Jackson Cirque du Soleil show in Las Vegas. I was in Las Vegas to cover a Predators game.
That was a great show.
You went to it
yes,
too?
Great show.
I was in Las Vegas to cover a Predators game against the Golden Knights. My wife and my parents came out. We made a long weekend out of it. And we went to the Michael Jackson show. But we could not get tickets for the early showing. We had to get tickets to the late showing, which started at like 9 or 9:30. And, jet lag and all that. I started nodding off during the show, not because it wasn't entertaining. It was incredibly entertaining, but I was just exhausted. And the timing was impeccable. I woke up during the Thriller section where the zombie performers were in the aisles doing the Thriller dance, and I jumped out of my seat. Imagine dozing off and there being a gyrating zombie within a couple of feet of you.
I would advise anybody, if they haven't seen that and you're in Vegas, go see it.
Absolutely. Let's go back to your questions for Ask Dmase. If you have a question, 615-737-1025. John says, Dmase, wondering, from your earlier conversation about Carnell Tate, were you a safe pick for the NFL draft?
No, I was an undervalued pick. That's what I was, if you look at it. But I think when you're drafting an individual, in every player, you want to have a sense of safety, that you're drafting the right guy, that you went out there and the scouts, the GM, the head coaches, they did their job well enough that whoever you're picking, whether it be the first guy or, in my case, the 98th guy, 97th guy, there's a bit of a, okay, I'm drafting him because I feel that he's going to be the kind of guy that we want in our building. So in a sense, that could be a safe pick. Maybe that's a stretch, but I always felt I was an undervalued pick.
What did Derek Mason's scouting report say coming out of Michigan State?
I don't know. I was hurt my senior. I broke my hand, broke my wrist. First game of the season against Purdue. I think it was blatant too, because I waited for a fair catch, and I was coming in as a return, like an All-American return specialist. And I waited for the fair catch and everything. And that guy still took a bead, right? Put his helmet right into my wrist. And I ended up breaking it. So I dealt with injuries. A part of it was, he's a body catcher. But I had to catch the ball with my body because my wrist was broke for half the season. So I had to adjust to it. And I got injured. I broke a rib too. So, but the biggest thing was he was a body catcher. And he's a slot guy, so to speak. But like I said, I was undervalued.
Joey from Bellevue says, Dmase, Teron Davenport and Chris Sanders say you look like Papa Smurf. Who from 1025 would be brainy, grouchy, clumsy, hefty, handy, and jokey?
Brainy's sitting right in front of me.
I was about to say, you better not call me hefty.
Exactly. Brainy is sitting right in front of me.
So I'm brainy.
Who else he say?
Grouchy, clumsy.
Is he making up names?
I think
those aren't the seven dwarfs.
I think
the
Rexro.
Smurfs, not the dwarfs.
Oh, the Smurfs.
I think Rexro would be
grouchy.
Grouchy,
Oh,
yes. Yeah. I think Rexro would be grouchy.
When you've got gout, you're always grouchy.
Who else?
Let's see. There was Handy Smurf.
I could see. No, that would be. I could see Willie being a Handy Smurf.
Well, I think Nick Frazier could be.
Yeah, I was going to say
Frazier
Nick, but
is absolutely Handy Smurf.
Okay, so Frazier would
He's
be
a
Handy
man of
Smurf.
many talents.
Yes.
Let's see. There was Hefty Smurf. Be very careful.
I'll take that one for you, D-Man. You gotta take me.
Hey, I'm not saying it. If you want to have it, you can have it. You can have it. Because hefty is not a big thing. It's not a bad thing, Yeah, it's just gotta, big boned it. That's all.
Just to keep you safe. That's all I was doing.
Yes, absolutely. There we go.
Jokey Smurf.
Jokey Smurf. Oh wow, who would be Jokey Smurf?
I remember Jokey Smurf.
He was. Jokey Smurf was on there. He was. Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know who would be Jokey Smurf. And we don't have no jokesters. Oh, Big Joe. Big Joe.
Okay.
I would say
I'll
Big
go
Joe.
with that.
Yeah, I would say Big Joe.
Let me just fill this one in for you. Clumsy is Chase. Clumsy
Yes,
Smurf.
absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. That would be Chase.
So did we pick one for
I
Willie?
don't know. Who would Willie be?
Not Smurfette.
No. There was another Smurf on
Papa
there.
Smurf? Would he be Papa Smurf?
Yeah, I
Well,
guess
Derek is supposed
I'm
to be
Papa
Papa
Smurf.
Oh, you are
but-
Papa Smurf. Yes,
That's
of
where
course.
this whole thing began.
Hey, look,
Yes.
we can't. He's
Duh.
definitely not Gargamel.
Gargamel.
He's definitely not Gargamel. I can't say it. I can't say who would be Gargamel, but okay. One name we shall not mention ever again. I'm sorry. I love you. You know who I'm talking to. I love you. I love you. Oh, man.
Okay.
Really don't have a Smurf.
Yeah.
We got to really look into
Yeah,
this. We
you
got to
don't
come
have a
back.
Smurf.
Yeah. We got to really look.
There's
Because
gotta
you
be-
would
there's
have
a
been
million Smurfs.
You would have been
There's gotta be
brainy.
one.
You would have been brainy Smurf, but I give it to Adam.
Which is Derek's way of saying that I'm smarter than you, Willie.
Maybe.
He could be Papa Smurf, but
Well,
they
you're
already
Papa
named me
Smurf.
Papa Smurf.
Is he Vanity Smurf?
Nah, Willie.
Willie is not vain.
Yeah, he's not vain.
Is he Harmony Smurf?
He got some harmony
Got a
to
little
him.
harmony.
Yeah, Willie
Okay.
got some harmony to him.
What about Dreamy Smurf?
Dreamy.
He can be dreamy, Smurf. McDreamy, you know, the doctor.
All right, now let's not get his ego up. All right.
My head's swelling.
Oh man.
Our friend Hair Metal Henry says, question for Dmase, Pringles or Ruffles?
Ooh, I'm a Pringles dude. I hate Ruffles. I'm not a big Ruffle person. I've never. The chip is too thick. Ruffles, and then after a while they mess with the roof of your mouth because of the ruffles.
Yeah. I'm with you on that.
Yeah, I don't like Ruffle. I'm not a Ruffle person, man.
I'm about to
You're
tell.
a Ruffle person, Chad? Oh, Chad's a
Adam,
Ruffle
are
person.
you
I'm about to tell you an incredibly embarrassing story
about Ruffles?
about Pringles.
About
Ooh,
Pringles?
Pringles.
About Pringles.
I love Pringles.
Okay. First of all, should I tell the embarrassing story about what happened to me last week at Chicago?
Of course. Of course. Any embarrassing stories you could tell us.
Okay, let's start with that. Last Friday, I realized at the end of our program at Chicago Chicken and Waffles that I was wearing my underwear backwards.
Because I admire that you would share that with our listeners.
I kept going
Oh my goodness!
That one could have been Chef.
Oh man!
And you're just calling him Brainy Smurf?
Exactly, Willie. My
I can't
fault,
even put
Willie.
my underwear on
My
the right
fault,
way.
Willie.
It's
I
because
got to give it to you, man.
I went to the restroom a couple of times. I'm like, I'm trying to use the urinal. I'm like, what's going on here? Then I realized I had my underwear on.
There's
the
no
right way.
garage opener.
What happened? Like when you,
I don't know.
Were you sleepwalking when you did this?
This is an all-day thing too.
No, it was before I left to come to the show. Al says, wouldn't Rexford be handy Smurf because of that Vrabel news conference where Vrabel says, what are you doing with your hands?
Yeah.
Okay, so that's embarrassing story number one.
Oh, man.
Here's embarrassing story number two, which is less embarrassing because it happened to me when I was in college, not last week when I was 37 and couldn't get dressed correctly.
Fine example you're setting for Arlo.
Exactly.
Okay. So in college, one night, I'm in my dorm room. I'm hungry. I need a snack. I'm all out. So I walk to the campus store, and I buy a can of Pringles. And I just reached for whichever can I found. Do you remember the Wow chips that used to be out, I think in the 90s? They were, I'm trying to think of how you would describe them. They were fat-free, but they had some sort of chemical in them to make them taste like they had fat in them. I think that's what it was. And the chemical the company would use to mimic the taste of fat was called Alestra. Now, here's the thing about Alestra, and I believe it made mention of it on the can and on the bag, that if you eat too much of it in one sitting, something could happen.
Okay.
I demolished the entire can.
Okay.
Without realizing that it had Alestra in it. You can guess how the rest of my night went.
Oh my goodness.
So I've always been a bit wary of Pringles since then.
Oh wow.
Because of
So you're sitting on a throne, huh?
that is one way to put it. Yes. And the problem was because I was living in a dorm, it wasn't a private bathroom.
Oh wow.
It was a communal bathroom.
Wow.
So,
Okay.
So now that I've gotten that off my chest,
Yes. It's a lot you had to get off your chest, man.
you guys have had to have similar embarrassing stories that you're willing to share.
Man, do I? No, not really. I never
Oh,
put
okay.
I never put my underwear on backwards, man.
I don't know what the hell happened.
I don't know what you were thinking either.
I'm like, why isn't this working? And then I stepped into the stall and realized, yeah.
That's why it's that way.
So at that point, did you switch back or did you just ride it out?
I think you just got to ride it out until you get home.
Let's take us back to Friday. I don't know
Exactly.
I switched it up.
You switched it up.
Ooh.
I switched it up.
Ooh.
Fortunately, I guess nobody
So they were
walked in.
were they on inside out or just backwards?
Right side up, backwards.
I would have left it like that. Now you're bringing the booty snake in the front, man. I'd have left it, Adam. I'd have left it.
Well, the good news, the good news was I live very close to
Yes.
Chicago's Chicken and Waffles, so
Okay.
I didn't have to go very far. But I immediately went upstairs and changed when I got before I said, "Hi, everybody," and went right up the stairs. I'll be right back.
Oh man, I'd have left it like that. Just went on home, man. I wouldn't have changed it.
It's okay. I'm not afraid. I'm not afraid to embarrass myself.
Hey, ain't nothing wrong with you. Yeah, hey, listen, we all have our embarrassing moments.
Yes.
I've never had the underwear on backwards embarrassing moment, but we've had ours, you know. I'm trying to figure out, have I had? I'm sure I have.
Oh, we've all had
In my
embarrassing
52 years of living,
Yes.
or 51, whatever it is.
But, you know, now y'all have material. The next time I say something you disagree with, well, why should I listen to you? You can't even put on your underwear correctly.
I'm gonna call you booty stank.
We're not going to do that.
Not on air. I'm sorry, y'all. It's Friday. It's Friday. We having fun with
my
y'all.
goodness
We having fun
gracious.
with y'all. Anybody got any more questions, man? What else y'all want to know? Huh? Yeah. What else y'all want to know? Y'all want to know something else?
There are texts I cannot read on the text line.
Oh my goodness.
Despite what I shared on the air. Dustin and Josh, I see your texts. I appreciate them. I'm not going to read them on the air.
That mean they were bad, huh?
One texter says that should have been the question of the day. I don't leave them on and wrote it out. I left them on and wrote it out also.
Yeah, you just got to ride it out, man. You got to leave them on and ride it out.
Oh, boy. 615-737-1025. Now that I've shared that with all of you, any other questions for Derek Mason? 615-737-1025. Well, we'll wrap up the show. Coming up next, Willie Donick, Derek Mason, Adam Finken, 1025 The Game. Dmase, Vingan, and Donick, 102.5 The Game. Willie Donick, Derek Mason, Adam Vingan here with you. We are live at First Horizon Park. Sounds coming up at the top of the hour. Coverage starts near the top of the hour. First pitch, I should say, is at 6:35 on 94.9 The Fan. Sounds versus the Norfolk Tides here at First Horizon Park. Let's go to our phone line and welcome in Jason. Jason, thank you for calling. Go ahead.
Hey, Derek, when they say like Grable don't do stupid crap to hurt the team, what do they mean by that? Or what did he do to hurt the team up there?
Thank
you, Jason.
Anything that is going to draw negative attention or bad, press to the team, that's or is compromising the team in any way where the focus is no longer, the job at hand. Tomlin says keeping the main thing. That's what you want to do. And in other words, don't do dumb stuff that's going to hurt the team. And unfortunately for Vrabel, did it necessarily hurt the team in the sense of their play on the field? No, but it did hurt the team because you brought negative publicity to the team. You brought a light to the team that they did not want. That goes for a player, and definitely a coach is not immune from that. But if you're saying he did something that compromised the team on the field, probably not in that sense. But yeah, he did draw unwarranted attention, especially when there was the draft last week, and we were talking more about Vrabel and his escapade than the draft.
Have you seen the latest twist in this saga?
God. What's the latest?
Remember that story that came out a few weeks ago that Diana Rossini was involved in a dramatic rescue of an elderly man?
Don't tell me that wasn't true.
Now there is someone refuting that actually happened.
Oh, my goodness.
That she was there,
but
that she did not lead the dramatic rescue.
Well, she helped. It shouldn't.
But the original story is that she sprung into action.
Yeah, I thought she was driving, stopped her car in the middle of the highway, ran over there and just ripped the door open and pulled the guy out. And then the car caught on fire, and she was like, "You okay, sir?" He was like, "Diana, it's you?
Save me,
save me."
Here's more of that story from the New York Post. That tipster said that while Rossini had indeed come into the street to help with the crash, it was in fact the tipster's husband, not Rossini, who had freed the driver and his dog by ripping open the canvas roof of the Jeep. The tipster added that Rossini had merely held the dog's leash after the pet had been released from the wreckage.
Wow. Oh, that's bad. So who is I want to know who the husband is. Put his name out there.
Well, apparently they tried to contact that guy, and he did not want to talk.
Oh, want to talk, okay.
He said nothing.
But Diana hadn't said. So I guess it's not Diana's fault because it's not like
I got to tell everybody
exactly. Somebody just saw her there and embellished the story in a time where she needed it.
She needed a win. She really needed a win.
So I'm not gonna make too much. She needed that win. Let her have it.
Okay, so this texter makes me feel less embarrassed about my story in the previous segment. This texter says, just got some shorts on last weekend. Didn't look, just put them on, going through my day, put stuff in my pockets. And my wife realized when I got up that my zipper was down and my zipper was down on the wrong side of my body. Didn't notice at all. I had stuff in my back pocket and I thought I was putting my front. That's how oblivious I was. So at least I didn't do that.
Wow. It must have been sweatpants or something. You just threw them on.
But sweatpants don't have zippers.
Some sweatpants do.
I have never seen a pair of sweatpants with a
fancy
zipper.
Sweatpants.
Well, I don't wear the same sweatpants that you wear. One texter says, guys, I want some of what y'all are drinking today. I'm just drinking water. I'm just drinking water.
We're all drinking water.
I've got like 4 bottles of water here. The good news is I did put my underwear on the right way today. So when I have gone to the restroom, it's been no issue.
Have you been doing some special checks the last week just to make sure, like double checking?
But didn't it feel funny to you because you don't have the same walk and sort of you feel a little restricted.
Feel right.
Well, the thing was, I was sitting down for most of that time, right? Because we were on the air. So it might have been different if I had been walking more. But because I was sitting,
You didn't notice yourself getting a wedgie?
Yeah, something.
Exactly.
A little draft back there.
I don't know what else to say. I don't know what else to say. I regret sharing it to the air.
We love you, Adam.
One
We love you.
texter says, "Hey, Dmase, like Trey, I don't really have a question, just a bit of admiration. It is so cool as a lifelong Titans fan to get to hear a legend's point of view on football life and even potato chips. Thank you so much for what you do, and let's all love on our people this weekend."
Well, thank you. I appreciate it. You're right. Let's love on our people. And when I mean our people, I mean all people. Just love on them because they are our people. Everybody's our people.
There are plenty of playoff games on tap tonight in the NHL and NBA. In the NHL, Tampa Bay at Montreal. Montreal up 3-2. Buffalo at Boston. Buffalo up 3-2. Vegas at Utah. Vegas up 3-2. In the NBA, Detroit at Orlando. Orlando up 3-2. Cleveland at Toronto. Cleveland up 3-2. The Lakers at Houston. Lakers up 3-2.
Who's been the most dominant team in the playoffs to y'all, hockey-wise?
In the Stanley Cup playoffs?
Yes.
The Carolina Hurricanes.
Yeah, I was thinking.
Or the Colorado Avalanche.
Yeah,
They
but
both.
the Avalanche probably had the most favorable matchup too.
Uh-huh.
They were the biggest favorite, so it's easier to look dominant.
Both teams swept their
Carolina's
first round
looked
series.
impressive. I would say Carolina is a pretty solid favorite over Philadelphia. as
That'll
well.
be an interesting series. I'm interested to watch that series. I would say Carolina.
Okay.
I'm really fascinated by Tampa at Montreal.
Every
tonight.
game has been very
Yes.
tight.
And the one thing, Willie, about Montreal that's been incredibly impressive is they're a young team. They're on the come up. They don't have a lot of players with extensive playoff experience, unlike the Lightning, of course, who are used to being in this situation. I've been really impressed by how Montreal has not batted an eye in the face of the sort of pressure that they've had in this playoff series.
I agree. And you know what's and that has been a thing. I know we were going to talk about it a little bit more, but the young teams, there's a handful of them. The Ducks just advanced. Montreal's got a chance to advance. Buffalo's got a chance to advance. Utah's, like we said in the last hour, they have had the lead in the third period of all 5 games against the Golden Knights, but they're down 3-2. But they've really outplayed Vegas. But Vegas is just so crafty; they know how to win. So it's really been fun to watch. You've got teams that haven't had a lot of success, but they're trying to break through against sort of the old guard, and it's mixed results. Tampa, by the way, since they lost the Stanley Cup final in 22, and they lost to Colorado, they have not won a playoff round. They've lost the first round 3 straight years, and they're trying to avoid a 4th straight year. So as great as they've been, as consistent as they've been, it's been a while since they've won a round, and Montreal's got them on the ropes, and they're playing in Montreal, which is a tremendous theater. So you watch that. If you could pick one game tonight to watch, and you don't have to stay up past midnight to do it. I would keep an eye on that game.
So has anything surprised y'all in this Stanley Cup playoffs? Or has it kind of been like, okay, this is what I expected?
The only one I've gotten wrong so far, the ones that have ended, I was surprised that Edmonton.
Me too.
I knew Edmonton had issues. I did not think Edmonton would make a deep run, but I thought they would have enough to beat Anaheim just because Anaheim was struggling so badly down the stretch of the regular season.
And Anaheim felt like one of those teams that was like not quite ready.
Right.
Like they were there, but they weren't quite ready.
Yeah.
But the Edmonton Oilers have problems. So
and I think it will show up in the next round. I think Anaheim will get exposed by whoever wins the Vegas-Utah series. And I want to see if Vegas can they find a way to get one more game. It's not going to be easy against Utah.
As I've mentioned many times, Predators fans, I know that it's hard to root for the Golden Knights, but you want to root for the Golden Knights because if they get to the Western Conference Final, the Predators get a 2nd-round pick from the Nick Hague trade. It's a 3rd-round pick right now. If the Golden Knights win 2 rounds, it becomes a 2nd-round pick. So that would be helpful for the Predators.
One other quick note, a quick shout-out to my broadcast partner, Chris Mason.
All over TNT.
Okay. Two
all
straight
over
nights,
TNT.
Big elimination games. He got featured games on TNT. So he is fast rising as the
Okay.
guy between the benches. He did the Philly Pittsburgh clincher, an overtime game, really dramatic. And then last night, awesome atmosphere in Minnesota as they closed out the series against Dallas.
Congrats, Mace.
Did a big interview with Quinn Hughes right after the clock expired. So he's making his mark, man.
That's what I'm
Teammates,
talking
way to
about.
go.
Let's go.
What about your Pistons, Derek?
Oh man, we were just talking about this at the barbershop today, man.
Trying to avoid the 1 versus 8 loss.
Okay. It's looking grim, man. They don't have enough knockdown shooters. Cade Cunningham is playing well, but other guys are not showing up. Now they gotta go back to Orlando because right now it's 3-2. They won last night. Was it last night? Yeah, last night. So they got to go back to Orlando and then got to come back home to try to end it, man. It's hard. It's hard. It's going to be a big disappointment because they were the number 1 seed.
Well, I remember I wasn't watching the game, but I saw a post about Paolo Banchero having 45 points. And I was like, well, clearly the Magic would have won that game. And then I saw the score, and I was shocked to see the Pistons won. That's because Cade Cunningham also had 45 points.
Cade is a walking bucket, man. That kid can play.
What about the Lakers? I know you love your Lakers.
Yeah, Lakers, it's going to be tough for them too. Because Austin Reeves, I don't think he's back. Doncic is gone for the year, I believe. If not, at least if they advance, then maybe he'd be able to play. But they have so many injuries. But Houston hadn't been playing well either. They were down at one point, 3-1? I think the Lakers were up, or 2-0. And now, Houston has made it a game, so a series at least. But I'm hoping the Lakers win and give them enough time for Austin Reeves to come back and make this team a little bit better.
That'll do it for us today and this week. We had a wonderful time. We hope you did as well. We'll be back Monday at 3 p.m. as we continue to talk about the Titans off season. We'll recap the Stanley Cup playoffs. We'll keep an eye on the Predators GM search. We'll do it all. We hope you had a wonderful week with us, just as we did with you. Have a wonderful weekend. We'll talk to you Monday at 3.
Be love on your people. And when I mean your people, I mean everybody. I love you. The team loves you. You hear this music, don't you forget about us, because we will not forget about you. Have a wonderful weekend. Be safe. And we will see you, or y'all will see us come Monday at 3 p.m. We're going to be talking, and y'all going to be listening. Peace.